Don't forget to go to ashkicking.com for pound the best home health and beauty fragrance products.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Yes, sir. Let me dig into your brain.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it was just reported a couple days ago that Juan Marquez and his trainer, they want the Jeff Horn fight. They want to fight Jeff Horn in December. Now that would be a good fight if Manny Pacquiao decides not to take the rematch, which is possible. But this would be an extremely dangerous fight for Juan Marquez. One of the main reasons why it would be so dangerous is because even though Juan Marquez is a great counterpuncher, he has a very unique combination when it comes to his strengths and his flaws. He's a good counterpuncher with a terrible defense. That's something you don't see too often in this sport of boxing. Usually if someone is a good counterpuncher, they have good defense. It usually goes hand in hand, but not with Juan Marquez. Because of that, Jeff Horn would be a very dangerous opponent. What you'll notice in the sport of boxing is the more you move up in weight, the less mistakes you can make in the ring. This is why Floyd Mayweather is one of the very, very rare fighters that can move up in weight, fight a guy like Canelo who's 15, 20 pounds bigger, 14 to 15 years younger. And Floyd Mayweather can actually stand right in front of a strong puncher like that because Mayweather is not going to make that many mistakes. But then you have fighters like Nonito Donaire or even Roman Gonzalez when it comes to thinking of fighters more recently. But first I want to start with Donaire. Donaire pretty much did the same thing Floyd did, moved up to a higher weight class, fought a guy who was strong and naturally bigger than him. See, when Donaire was in those smaller weight classes, when he fought against fighters like Wilfredo Vasquez and Mathabula, Jorge Arce, Donaire was getting caught with punches in those fights, but because he was naturally bigger and he had a size and power advantage over a lot of these fighters, he could make up for his flaws in defense. But when he moved up to a higher weight class, his defense had to compensate for the power size he used to have in the smaller weight classes. And his defense wasn't good enough. We've seen this happen to Roman Gonzalez as well. When Roman Gonzalez was in the smaller weight classes, he would get caught with punches in the earlier rounds, but eventually he would catch up with you, catch you, hurt you, and possibly knock you out. Now Roman has moved up in higher weight classes. Now these guys are taking his shots easier. And now Roman has to rely more on intelligence as opposed to having a power advantage. That brings us back to Juan Marquez. Like I said earlier, not only does Marquez have a questionable defense, but he's going against a big, physically strong welterweight if he were to get that fight, right? There's no guarantee he's going to get that fight, but if he were to get that fight, hypothetically, he would be dealing with a naturally big, physical welterweight who has a height advantage and can box a little bit. You know, he's not that orthodox. You know, he had a little bit of an awkward style, at least for Manny Pacquiao. And I believe that will cause Marquez a lot of problems. We've seen Marquez get dropped by the likes of Mike Alvarado and many other fighters he got dropped by. But those guys, a lot of the guys he got dropped by, they weren't as big and strong as Jeff Horn. So I believe that would be a very tough fight for Marquez to win. Don't get me wrong, he could win the fight, but once again, Marquez is not fighting this guy at 135, at 140. The fight will most likely be at welterweight. Now, even though Juan Marquez, he's trying to land a fight with Miguel Cotto as well, that'll be another very big opponent he'll be fighting. And I think if they fight, it'll either be at a catchweight or at welterweight. But wherever that fight would be, I think that fight is even more dangerous for Juan Manuel Marquez. But nevertheless, once again, if Pacquiao doesn't take this fight, I would love to see it. I would love to see Horn versus Marquez. I have no problem with that fight. But Horn, you know, he's been calling out Errol Spence, Keith Thurman. He said those fighters are on his hit list right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we have to figure out if Manny Pacquiao is going to take the rematch. I believe Manny Pacquiao will, despite so many people saying he should retire. I mean, I think he'll take the rematch. But at the same time, I don't know, because I just thought about something. Manny Pacquiao, he knows deep down how tough that fight was. And if Manny Pacquiao is sitting there thinking, damn, if I lose the rematch, not only will that erase the memory of a robbery for the first fight, but it would possibly hurt Manny Pacquiao's legacy. Certainly at the welterweight division. We're not talking about the featherweight, the super featherweight Manny Pacquiao. We're talking about at the welterweight division. So those are some things for Manny Pacquiao to think about. It's a gamble because there's no guarantee Manny Pacquiao is going to beat Jeff Horn in the rematch. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do, but once he makes a decision, then we'll have a better idea of who we're going to see Jeff Horn in the ring with next. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.